Hey everybody, Mark Herman, aka LA Bengal fan on Twitter, repping the Bengals for the AFC Northerners. Well, I do get to greet you today following a Bengal win, although I'm really conflicted on how I should be feeling. We just played ourselves out of a top 10 pick. We were sitting 8th in the first round, had a chance to jump in front of Chicago, with Chicago winning today and they're having the head-to-head against us. We would have jumped into the 7th spot, and instead, by winning today, we jumped back to 10 and let the Jets and I think and Denver jump ahead of us. So now we're sitting at 10. So that was kind of a costly win. I want to quote Vance Meek. For those of you who don't follow him, that's Meek, Vance Meek on Twitter. For those of you who don't follow him, he's got the Deadpool logo on his icon. But he said, while satisfying to win this game, this didn't help us. And this is true, because in the grand scheme of things, it's not just the first round, but it's the second round, the third round, the fourth round. I mean, we just jumped back 2 places. This game was really tough to watch at times. You have 2 of the worst teams. Both of these coaches are gone at the end of the year. So we probably just sealed Caldwell's fate at Detroit. These are both 2 of the worst rushing teams in the league. And what's really funny is there was a play towards the as we were approaching halftime where the Lions lined up to go for it at 4th down and 1, and then on a hard count they jumped themselves into motion penalty. Instead of pulling the Bengals offsides, move back 6 yards. Then the Bengals come up and run into the punter, moving them back up to a 4th and 1. They go for it again, and they make it. So it's just 2 teams that can't get out of their own way. They're poorly coached. They execute poorly. And that's why neither one is going to the playoffs now. But this, while it was satisfying to see a team actually show up with show some soul and some heart, it did, in the long run, we hurt ourselves today. What did we learn today? Well, we learned that Gio still has it. I want to direct everybody to a Lance McAllister tweet that, if you don't follow Lance, once again, he's a Cincinnati and ESPN beat writer. You should be following him. He commented on how Gio's performance today showed the complete mismanagement of this roster throughout the entire season. Because think about it, I've been complaining all year about why Jeremy Hill was ever in any game this season, and he reiterated every single Hill carry was a carry that Gio didn't have this year. And you watched what he has on the field, he still has it. Another thing we learned today is we need to pick up the option on Denard and re-sign him. Sean Williams needs to be extended. And the last thing we learned is that we should never have given that kind of money to Drake Kirkpatrick. We should have kept Andrew Whitworth. That was our biggest offseason loss, was Andrew Whitworth. Because you look at how far the Rams' offensive line went when he was really one of the only additions they did to that line. But we learned that we should never have spent that kind of money on Drake Kirkpatrick. Had an ugly pass interference again today. That's this team's, even though we're deep at corner, that's our 18th pass interference. The league average through 16 games is 7. So we're way ahead of the league average on pass interference calls against us. And announcers were absolutely horrible. I think it was Spielman and somebody else. These 2 announcers I had to mute it at times. They were unbelievably horrible. All they did all game was talk about what a great person and a great job Marvin Lewis has done. If I want to listen to 3 hours of you kissing Marvin Lewis's ass, I just couldn't take it. It's Fox. What are you doing? And the other thing is they would say the stupidest things. These are 2 guys who clearly haven't watched any other Bengal games this year. I mean, I realize we're going to get the crappy announcers because of this matchup, but talking about how Bodine is impressing him so much. Hey, why don't you watch the other games this season and see how poorly Bodine has played? So I could not take those announcers. And the last thing was a comment that they made about, wow, it's really great how Bill Lazor is calling an up-tempo offense from the very beginning in a no-huddle to take pressure off of the tackles in this game, because obviously we didn't have Ogbuehi and we didn't have Andre Smith, who's on the IR. That's something that we should have been doing all year. So just another example of how poor our coaching staff is and just what a horrible job. It takes till week 16. I've been saying all season how this coaching staff asks our offensive line to do what they're not capable of doing, and they finally tweak it in week 16 when we really need to posture for a draft position. So really, really conflicted about today's game, but that was my take from it. We will be doing a group show, I think, the week after New Year's, the week of the 3rd. So that will be a group show at Rocco's. I think we're doing individual stuff. There might be a duo show with the Browns and Steeler guy. I might do something with Jan over Skype. I don't know. We'll have some content going up on some form on Wednesday, and then look for an end of the season group show from Rocco's. With that said, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Have a happy and healthy Christmas Eve and Christmas Day tomorrow, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we will talk later in the week. Oh, and I almost forgot to sign off, as I always will, with fuck Marvin Lewis. God, it killed me to listen to those announcers today. And fuck Mike Brown. Okay? Have a good week, everybody.